Hi everyone, Natalie here, and today I wanted to talk about migraines and in particular menstrual migraines and some of the other symptoms that us ladies may be experiencing during our cycle and some things that you can do to help prevent some of this from happening. I personally have suffered from migraines for, about 15 years now. And it can be a big challenge. I mean, those of you who have migraines, sometimes it feels like there's no rhyme or reason. And for me, it's been this decade and a half journey of figuring out what can I do to prevent. I've noticed a lot of patterns over the years of what's triggered migraines. And I've found some things that I find are really helpful, but it's a lot of a lifestyle change. So before I kind of get into how to treat it, I just wanted to let you know a little bit about my story. I started on birth control at a very young age, in my teens, and I had like minor headaches as a kid and as a preteen, but it wasn't until about 2.5 years after I had started taking birth control that all of a sudden I started getting migraines. And it started out with one, and then it got worse and worse and worse. They were during my cycle, but then they also became like every other week. I would get them. They would last for days. It got to the point where I was vomiting, I was throwing up, I was in so much pain that if I even moved a finger, I would throw up, and I had to be locked in a room, dark, no lights, no sound, everything. Like my nerves were just in so much pain, and it's probably the worst thing I've ever experienced was when my migraines were really bad. I did go to the doctor and the neurologist, and they tried to give me shots and pills and put me on this and that, and finally I just decided I have to go off of everything hormone-wise, and I haven't been on any kind of hormones or birth control in probably 13, 14 years, so, or however long it's been, over a decade anyways. And that was a personal choice for me. I just felt like if that's what hormones are doing to me, then I shouldn't be taking them. And, if you have any doubt of what's going on, not everyone has that kind of reaction, but for me, that was definitely a turning point to say, hey, this is not good for my body, and most likely it's not good for everyone else's body as well. I still get migraines, but they are not to that point where I'm vomiting anymore. I don't have to go to the hospital and the doctor anymore. I don't take any prescribed medications for my migraines, and I try to deal with everything pretty naturally. It's gotten better and better over the years, especially since I found other things in my life that can help to manage the migraines before they arrive. So, a little bit about menstrual migraines, because that's what I'm going to focus on today. Migraines can be triggered from so many different types of things. And if you start doing your research, it's like you go down this rabbit hole when you start to look into everything that's out there on migraines, whether there's food triggers and all kinds of other things. For me, I've found that stress is huge. Diet is huge. Those are probably the two biggest factors that affect my migraines. Now, menstrual migraines typically come around the time of your menstrual cycle. For some women, they may also come around during ovulation. And because our hormones are changing every day throughout the month, we kind of peak and drop in estrogen and progesterone levels. That's typically when the migraines occur. For me, they occur at my lowest point, so I typically get a migraine, the day before the day of my period starting. And that's when estrogen levels drop drastically and they get down to their lowest point. And sometimes I'll have migraines that, peak and, go up and down for a couple days during my cycle, because that's your lowest amount of hormones. Some women actually get it during ovulation when it peaks at its highest too. So hormone shifts can make a really big difference. Now, with that said, there are some months where I have massive migraines during my cycle, and they are up and down for several days, and they'll last a week. One day great, other days horrible, and it's just kind of this, I'm constantly dealing with it. And then I have months where I barely get a headache during my cycle. So I've noticed that there are patterns and there are triggers. And for me, like I was mentioning, diet and stress are huge. Those are the things that I've found make the biggest difference. When I manage my stress well, when I'm not allowing worry and fear and frustration to overtake me, and I just go with the flow of life, I am less stressed, and there's less likely of a chance for me to have a migraine during my cycle. And my diet, I don't. I think it's important to realize that hormone shift, you're also a lot more sensitive. So when you're eating really well, and by eating well, I'm talking about, having a diet high in vegetables, high in healthy fats, and a good amount of protein while cutting out all carbs, all sugar, and reducing, your alcohol intake and things like that. That's when your body's going to be in its most optimal state, where your emotions and your hormones are going to be a little more level, and you're going to have less triggers. I can eat certain things when I'm not on my period, but then when I am on my period, they suddenly are a trigger for me. So just know you're going to be in a hypersensitive state when you're on your cycle, when your cycle starts. A lot of people find that things like wine, chocolate, cheese, those types of foods can be migraine triggers. But for someone like me, I've realized those may be migraine triggers, but only during my cycle, when my hormones are at a place that I just can't handle as much. I'm already in a super sensitive physical state. And so then I'm more likely to get a migraine from drinking wine when I'm on my cycle. But if it's not on my cycle, I may not get that headache at all. Or if I'm not on my cycle and I'm really stressed out and then I go have these things, sometimes that might be a trigger. So, you got to look at what happens to your body, because we're all different. And you want to start noticing some patterns and start, maybe even journaling, what you're eating and what's caught, and what might be triggering some of your symptoms. Notice, okay, not only what did I eat today, the day that I got my migraine, but what did I eat the last 2 or 3 days? Food stays in your system for about 3 days before it's purged completely out of you. So you may be having a trigger one day, but it could have been from something that you ate 2 days ago. So just something to think about. It's not always an instant trigger, but if you've got something in your system and then your hormones shift and then everything kind of gets a little crazy, there's more likely a chance to have flare-ups. So that's a little bit about that. Stress, sleep, and diet. I forgot to mention sleep, but make sure you're getting enough sleep, especially during your cycle, and just throughout the month in general. Everyone should be getting about 6 to 8 hours of sleep, more or less, depending on your body, but sleep is super important for your body to heal and stay in a good state. Cutting out salt the week or so prior to your period is going to be super essential. It will help reduce any kind of bloating that you get during your cycle. It can actually help reduce a lot of your cramping and other symptoms that you might be getting, and including helping with your migraines as well. So I notice, if I'm eating really badly right up to my period, that's going to, like, when I say badly, eating things like cheese and carbs and sugar, all of that kind of stuff, it just fills your body with gunk. And then it makes it so much harder to have a smooth transition into your cycle. So by cutting a lot of that stuff out, lowering the amount of salt, salt's still important, but just to have a little bit less of it, it helps not only have a smoother cycle, but less symptoms all around, whether it's your migraines, your cramps, your bloating, things like that. During our cycle, the uterus actually swells and doubles in size. So if you ever get low back pain during your cycle, that's from that swelling. So a heat pack on your low back can help with things like that, or even on your belly if you're getting more of your symptoms in the front. So some things that can also help with your menstrual migraines is getting your hormones checked. There are some things that you can do working with like a naturopath. You may have an extreme situation with your hormones. I prefer not to take any kind of hormone replacement, just from my backstory. I prefer not to. But some supplements that you can take that are a little more natural and over the counter is you can increase your magnesium the week or so prior to your period. So If you're not taking a magnesium already, you can take it just during that week. I take magnesium every day, and then I up my magnesium the week prior to my cycle, because we have a tendency to have a magnesium drop as well right before our cycle starts. As that estrogen and progesterone start to drop, so does your magnesium levels. So keeping your magnesium levels high is really important, because magnesium actually helps to reduce any kind of nerve reactions. So it helps calm your nerves, helps control your blood pressure. It also helps with your hormone production and your sleep rhythms. So if you're having all that stuff balanced, it just puts you in a calmer state on a cellular level. So magnesium's a great thing to take, up to or even on a daily basis, but definitely prior to your cycle. A B complex is also really good. So vitamin B also helps calm the nerves in your body and keep everything in balance. So those are a couple just basic things. If you get consistent menstrual migraines, track your period on a calendar. And 24 to 48 hours before you're going to start your cycle, you may want to take some NSAIDs, which is non-steroid anti-inflammatory drugs. So something like aspirin, ibuprofen, or naproxen as the active ingredients. Take a couple with a meal, once, twice a day, a couple days prior to your period. It'll just help thin your blood, help reduce any kind of raise in your blood pressure, which can also put a lot of pressure on the nerves in your head and may help to reduce a migraine or even potentially prevent one. So those are a couple things. And then just overall looking at your lifestyle, are you exercising? Are you taking care of yourself? Doing things like yoga, to help keep you calm and get your body moving, keep that, circulation and lymph flowing so that everything is kind of running on a good energy system. Things like meditating, breathing exercises can really help. And even something like going to get treated for acupuncture or massage, anything that's going to help reduce stress and balance your body. So my biggest recommendation is start to look at the things that you're doing that week prior to your cycle, get yourself in a calm state in order to prevent the migraine. Because sometimes, if you do get migraines like me, you'll know once a migraine hits, it's really challenging to get to get any kind of treatment, But if you can prevent it, then, how wonderful is that, right? For me, that has been the biggest takeaway from all my years of researching and just experimenting with my own body and finding out what works and what doesn't. The key is prevention. So if you're taking care of yourself, you're living a good lifestyle, you're eating healthy, you're sleeping, you're meditating and doing yoga, whatever it is that helps calm you, breathing exercises, prayer, having your time with God, all of those things are going to help put you in a better state. And if you've got some supplements, make sure you're hydrating a lot that week prior to your cycle, cutting out the salt, taking more magnesium, and your B vitamin complex, and maybe even some anti-inflammatories the few days prior, you can potentially prevent those migraines from coming on. You can do these things if you feel a migraine coming on as well, and it will help reduce your symptoms, and it will help it pass a lot faster and hopefully prevent it from being, a several day migraine to maybe just a few hours or one day and done. So all of these things are great, but if you can really work on the preventative side, I just want to hone in on that, because that's what we really want. We want to be out of pain and we want to have a balanced lifestyle. So all of those things can help too. I have a list here that I'm going to read off just a few other things that I found. If you're looking for some natural ways of helping reduce your stress, of helping for your migraines, things like peppermint oil, if you like essential oils, that's a really great one for migraines. Evening primrose oil, flaxseed oil. You can even take feverfew, which is a natural supplement that also work on the nerves of the body, similar to what magnesium does, helping to calm the nerves. It's a preventative, something that you would want to take regularly. Making fresh ginger tea, supplements like willow bark and butterbar. have been known to work. These are things that I found in my research. I have not tried all of these because there's quite a few. But some of those things, Don Quai is supposed to be really helpful. Lavender oil, rosemary, yarrow, horseradish, honeysuckle, and linden. So there's quite a few things that you can look into if you're looking for some more holistic ways of treating your body. But if you look at the lifestyle stuff, I honestly think that's really key, and that's helped me the most. So hopefully this has helped you. I'd love to hear if you've got any other things that you are using or have used that have worked for you. Please share this, comment on this. I'd love to hear your experiences, because this is something that a lot of us suffer with, and let's just create some more awareness. So share with those that you think this would be helpful for, tag people in this post. And hopefully we can create some more awareness and be a little more preventative about how to take care of our body on a regular basis, so that we can completely annihilate these migraines and live a more peaceful life with a lot less pain and a lot less trouble. So again, I hope this helped you. And I wish you the best with your journey. Let me know if you've got any questions. I'd love to help answer any questions that I can. And God bless. Have a wonderful day.